Hey guys, welcome to today's lesson where we are going to create an AWS MySQL Aurora cluster. We're then going to log into that cluster locally from our desktop using the MySQL Workbench, which we'll download during this lesson. We're then going to run a few scripts to create some tables, and then we're going to query those tables. So let's get started. Let's navigate to RDS because that's where Aurora lives. Okay, once in the RDS region or the RDS console, choose a region that's kind of local to you. I'm going to choose the London region and let that update. So once we're back in the London, we'll start. Yep, now we're in London. So what you want to do is click create a database. What we're going to do is a standard create because we have to configure the VPC to allow connections from our desktop. So standard create, Amazon Aurora. We're going to create with MySQL compatibility. We'll do another lesson on PostgreSQL at some point, but for now, MySQL compatibility. Yep, we want it regional. Looking one writer, multiple readers. We're in test and dev. We're going to give this cluster a name of music. You can give yours something different, but I advise to keep it the same as me. Yep, music. Keep your username as admin, and then put in a master password that you are going to remember. So, just remember not to lose this password wherever you enter, or else it's back to the start to change it. So, yeah, that'll work for me. Now just remember what that password is throughout as we go. Password saved. Let's go to the burstable class because we want to keep this kind of cheap, if possible, really free. I'm going to choose the T2 medium. It's quicker to spin up, and it's going to cost you a few pennies, just provided you delete it at the end of this demo. So I'm going to go for the T2 medium. Don't create a replica. Okay, here we go. So you need to create a new VPC, and you need to click additional configuration. Create a new subnet. Publicly accessible. Click yes, because this will allow us to log in using TCP connection on a secure line across the internet. So make sure you click yes here. Security group, we'll create a new security group. I'm going to call this demo security group Aurora. That should do it from me. Availability zone, pick one. Leave the database port is 3306. That's the MySQL connection port. Password on. We'll not use the I am configuration for now. We'll do this in a different lesson. It's a bit more complex, but just the top radio button there. No need to go into additional configuration, and what you'll do now is hit create database. That'll start the database creating, and it should change screens in just a little second. Yep, that just went onto that screen. So this can take about 5 to 10 minutes to spin up fully. If you just keep hitting refresh at the top, eventually these two sections will turn available to green. It might go through a few different phases, so if you just leave it for about 10 minutes and then come back. So what I'm going to do is pause the video here, and then we'll pick it up when both these statuses are green again. Okay, so that took about 7 minutes in total, and you can see now that the statuses are both available. It did go through several different status messages, so just be patient with it. Even if it looks like it's not kind of working, just keep hitting refresh and wait for about 10 minutes. Okay, so we now have our database cluster up and running, albeit it's one instance. And what we need to do then is download a MySQL Workbench to actually log into this cluster. Okay, and then once on MySQL Workbench, what we're going to do is go to the download now button. It is available for Mac, Windows, Linux, multiple operating systems. I'm going to choose Mac because that's what I am, and click download. You will have to log into a Oracle account in order to download. They look after licenses, but it's completely free. So if you have an Oracle account, type it in. If you don't have an Oracle account, create one. And what I'm going to do is just pause the video here, let it install, and then we'll pick it up on the other side once it's ready to download. Okay, and what we're going to do is click the download now button. It's about 106 megabits in size, so it won't take that long to download, but I'm just going to go on ahead and let it download, then click through. Once it's fully downloaded, get it installed, up and running, and then I'll see you on the other side once we have it fully installed. Okay, that's MySQL Workbench downloaded, as you can see from my screen. So what we're going to do is go back into Amazon, click onto the DB instance that you see on my screen, go into that DB instance, and then we're looking for the endpoint. So the endpoint is the URL that's going to allow us to connect MySQL Workbench to this Aurora instance. Just make note of that port as well, 3306. It should be defaulted, but it's good to know. Yep, copy that, bring it on in, add a new connection. I'm going to call my connection music. You can call yours what you want, but just follow along. Copy and paste in that endpoint connection into hostname. Hang on, that's not quite right. I'll just copy and paste that in. Yep, there we go. The port is 3306, as you can see. Enter the username admin, and then we're going to type in the password that we gave it back about 3 minutes ago. So don't forget that password, username admin, click OK, and then you want to test that connection. Connection succeeded, perfect. That means that we can actually reach our Aurora database on the other side. If you can't get it this far, it's probably something to do with the VPC configuration. So just make sure you put it in a new VPC and that VPC is working. So click OK, accept that, load up a new SQL window, and that is us into the SQL editor. Okay, and now we're logged in. What we're going to do is create a database and tables with data so we can query them. So if we jump over onto the GitHub, and I'll put a link in the description to get there, I've put up a create database table and insert data script. So if we copy that, or you can download it, whatever you prefer, into a query window, and we paste it in, it basically drops a database called music if it exists, creates that database, deletes two tables that exist, creates an artist table that inserts these artist values, Rolling Stones, Nirvana, Mumford & Sons, and then it creates a song table that inserts songs belonging to those artists. So if we just go back up to the top, don't highlight anything, just click in and click run. You'll see that we have successfully created that table. If you refresh the schema on the left hand side there with that refresh button, you'll see that there's two tables now, artist and song, and you'll see that there's columns, indexes belonging to those tables. And then what we're going to do next is actually query those tables. So if we create a new query by clicking the top left hand side, we go back into the GitHub. I have put a series of queries up already for us. So if you just want to download, that's the create table script, that'll never do. If we just want to download or copy and paste in these full queries, it'll give us a bit of data to work with. So new query window, paste. Artist query. So I'm going to query this artist table in full. So just highlight from the semicolon up and make sure you get everything and click run, and you will see that I have 3 rows belonging to the Rolling Stones, Nirvana, Mumford & Sons with an ID and the genre. If we highlight the song, you'll see that there's actually 5 rows belonging to Jumpin' Jack Flash, Start Me Up, In Bloom, Heart Shaped Box, and I Will Wait. But there's 3 artist IDs. So basically what this is saying is that for the 3 artist IDs, there are 5 songs. So if we run both queries this time, and we just pay attention to the artist ID of 1 is the Rolling Stones, when we translate that across onto song, they have 2 songs. So 1, 1, there we go. So what that means is then we can write an inner join query to figure out what songs belong to what artists. So if we just highlight that last query, again, just make sure you've highlighted right up to the top there, and then click run. And what you'll get back is 5 rows, but this time you will see what songs belong to what artists. So you can see that the Rolling Stones have 2 songs, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Start Me Up, both with the artist ID of 1, but the song ID of 1 and 2. Nirvana have 2 songs, again with the artist ID of 2, but the song ID of 3 and 4, and then Mumford & Sons at the bottom. So that's really everything for today's lesson. We have started up an Aurora cluster with MySQL. We have logged into that cluster using the MySQL Workbench locally from our desktop. We've then created a database called music. We then created 2 tables called artist and song, and then we've queried those tables. Thanks for following along today. I'll make all these resources available on my website as always, www.johnnychivers.co.uk. Thanks for watching, and until next time, see you again.